Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Homeless Perspective Live Breaking News. My name is Tim Houchen, and I'll be your host for this unscheduled live broadcast coming to you from Anaheim, California. As a reminder, scheduled broadcasts of Homeless Perspective Live weekly update take place beginning at 8 p.m. every Saturday night. Please watch for additional unscheduled Homeless Perspective Live Breaking News broadcasts that happen when homeless news breaks anytime during the week. If you've not yet heard the news, Homeless Perspective is covering the 2020 elections in a homeless kind of way. Today we'll show you all the tricks to get persons experiencing homelessness registered to vote for the upcoming general election and how to make their votes count on November 3rd. This is the first broadcast in a series of articles and live broadcasts that's titled It's Our Time, Our Voice, California Homeless Votes Count 2020. This series is dedicated to the 2020 general election and how it relates to persons experiencing homelessness in California. We're going to identify the barriers that have disenfranchised homeless voters in the past and remove those barriers by simplifying voter registration in 2020. And we're going to use information from the Secretary of State's website. Next topics include ways that homeless advocates and volunteers can assist and support homeless voters, voter education of candidates and ballot measures that affect the homeless, and spotlights on candidates throughout the state that are homeless or have homeless personal experience and are running for public office. Now, this particular broadcast, we're going to split into two parts. Part one, right now, as we'll cover voter registration, and part two will air this evening, and we'll cover voter eligibility requirements for persons with criminal records and the new laws that allow more persons with criminal histories to vote in the upcoming election on November 3rd. I want to set the record straight because I think some people are still confused about whether or not homeless persons can vote. Well, of course they can, but with a little help, they can face any challenges that may have kept them from casting their votes in the past. The information that we're sharing is for homeless persons to assist themselves and others with voter registration, but we are counting on the many homeless advocates and volunteers to use this information to assist them in order to increase the number of homeless voters across the state. There are many very important links to share with you. Unfortunately, sometimes these links are difficult to share on a live platform. So we suggest checking the corresponding article published at www.homelessperspective.com. Look for the voter registration article and there for a collection of very important links to additional tools and resources. The right of citizens to choose their leaders through the election process is the cornerstone of American democracy. Not only is voting a right, it is also a privilege that is sometimes not taken advantage of enough for some citizens who choose not to participate in the elections. In fact, over the past 50 years, only about 50 to 60% of all eligible voters turn out at the polls for most elections. Those who choose not to participate, they don't use their a right that they have. It's a right to participate in these elections, and by doing so, they don't have as much control over what happens to them in the future if they're not a part of that political process. Now, our goal is to get a message out and to dispel some of the myths and identify some of the barriers to voter registration for homeless persons, and to share that information to reduce those barriers and give instructions on how to mitigate the challenges that homeless persons come across while trying to make their votes count. Now, first, let's look at the dates and the deadlines associated with the elections. Election day is Tuesday, November 3rd. The deadline to register online is Monday, October 19th. The deadline for registering by mail is also October 19th. The deadline to register in person to vote is on Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. Conditional voter registration, or sometimes called same-day voter registration, is a safety net for Californians who missed the deadline to register to vote or update their voter registration information. All registered voters will automatically be mailed a vote-by-mail ballot for the November 3rd, 2020 general election. The early voting period runs from Monday, October 5th to Monday, November 2nd, but dates and hours may vary depending on what county you live in. So don't forget, you can also register and vote on election day using the same-day voter registration. Now, to register to vote in California, you must be a U.S. citizen and a resident of California. You must be 18 years of age or older on election day, and not currently in a state or federal prison or on parole for the conviction of a felony. And you must not have been found mentally incompetent by a court. Now, just because a person has a felony criminal record does not mean that they are not eligible to vote. We will cover this topic in this evening's broadcast. This is where it gets real important, is check our website where this article was published at www.homelessperspective.com. And that's where you'll find more extensive information and, of course, those links to information and resources that will help you assist homeless persons if you are an advocate or a volunteer. Here are some of the links. We'll describe them. Here's an online tool for checking the status of your voter's registration, a link to the online application for voter's registration, a link to finding the elections office in your county and how to contact them. Okay, as far as the types of ID necessary for proving your identity, in most cases, a California voter is not required to show identification to a polling place worker before casting a ballot. However, if you are voting for the first time after registering to vote by mail and did not provide your driver's license number, California ID number, or the last 4 digits of your Social Security number on your registration form, you may be asked to show some form of ID when you go to the polls. Now, there are a number of officially acceptable forms of IDs to use when voting for the first time, including the sample ballot booklet that you receive from the county elections office or other documents sent to you by government agencies. And there are more than a dozen other types of ID that are considered acceptable, and we have a link to a document that shows all of those acceptable types of identification according to the Secretary of State. And you can find those again at www.homelessperspective.com. Now, voters without ID can still vote. If you are asked to provide proof of ID and cannot produce the documentation at your polling place, you may cast a provisional ballot. A provisional ballot is used to record a vote when there are questions about a given voter's eligibility that must be resolved before the vote can be counted. The Federal Help America Vote Act of 2002 guarantees that in most states, the voter can cast a provisional ballot if the voter states that he or she is entitled to vote. Now, if you're asked for ID and don't have any, you must ask for a provisional ballot. It's very important. As far as same-day or conditional voter registration and provisional ballots, it's a good idea to find your polling place or vote center location in your county where these things can be taken care of before arriving at the polls unprepared on election day. Links to that information are also on our website, or you can call the Secretary of State's toll-free voter hotline at 1-800-345-VOTE. That is 800-345-8683. Okay, look, if you need a California ID, ask someone from a local nonprofit or a social worker or someone that performs outreach to the homeless community near you. I asked them for a fee waiver from the DMV so you can go out and get your ID replaced. If worst comes to worst and you need an ID and can't find anyone with a fee waiver, contact me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/homelessbrother. And I'll send you a fee waiver to you the same day by U.S. mail. Now, that's providing that you have somewhere to receive mail. Okay, let's take a look at a video, and I will try to see if I can get some of these important links into the chat box. We'll be right back.
I'm here today at the People Concern, which is a homeless services shelter here in Santa Monica. And today, for the first time ever, it's a voting location.
voted. I've been scared to vote. So when I was done, and the way this lady was, and the way this guy was, I'm proud to be an American.
The People Concern is a flex voting center, and it's part of a larger initiative in LA to make it easier for homeless people to vote.
I haven't voted in a long time.
A long time?
Yeah.
Los Angeles, like many cities throughout the country, has seen a recent increase in its homeless population. From 2018 to 2019, the county's homeless population increased 12% to almost 60,000 people. But not having a home doesn't mean you can't vote. Nationally, it's legal to register to vote in all 50 states if you don't have a home. But in practice, it's not always so easy.
You try to go to the polls and you don't have a current ID. I can't register because you feel like you don't have a home, and so you don't have a place to get your card mailed to you, and so you feel kind of disenfranchised. You don't feel like your vote really matters.
But in LA, there's now a county-wide initiative to make voting easier for its homeless population. Hilda Solis was once the labor secretary under President Obama. Now she's on the LA County Board of Supervisors, and has been part of the push to increase turnout amongst the homeless population of LA.
It shouldn't just be a privilege, it should be a right for everyone. But I know in other states and other parts of our country that doesn't exist. And I hope that we send a message here, at least in California and LA County, that that's not who we represent. We are about helping to lift voices from every part of the county, and that means the 10 million or more people that live here.
The new initiative is part of LA's overhaul of its voter system that has centralized the registration process, so any resident can register to vote on the day of the election and use any polling location to cast a ballot. Those changes have also allowed LA to set up voting machines at places meant to serve underrepresented communities.
And I'm thankful for this place because it's in the community and I don't really have to go far.
Why does it matter to have polling locations at places where homeless people come and get services?
Well, I think for a couple of reasons. One of them is everybody should be able to vote, whether they're in a penthouse or a tent. And for homeless persons, many of them are suspect of other places, and so to have a place where they feel safe to come and be able to vote and have services available is important to them.
It feels really good because oftentimes homeless people are overlooked and they're treated as though they're less than human or they're not valued. So to vote just ensures that you're valued in your community and in the country you live in.
We're back. Sorry if we lost the end of that video there. But it's a common misunderstanding that you must have an address in order to vote. And not one state out of all 50 require that a voter have a place of residence as a requirement for voter registration. But election officials want your address for two separate reasons. First, they want to know where you live so they can give you the proper ballot with the various candidates specific to where you live. Second, election officials want an address where you receive your mail because when you give your signature at the time that you register, and the elections office mail out sample ballots and other information along with your voter registration card to that address. But they want your signature on record so that they can compare your signature at registration to the signature when you vote. And it's in order to make sure that you don't vote more than one time, and so that you're not voting for some dead guy. You're voting for yourself. Now, if you are homeless and you live in a homeless shelter, they can send your information to the shelter. So give that address as both a physical address and your mailing address. If you are homeless and you have a P.O. box or a mail service, or you can receive mail at a friend or family's address, or perhaps you have a nonprofit that will allow you to use their address, then go ahead and give two addresses. One address where your mail is sent, and the other is your physical address where you slept at night. Now, some examples, you don't have to be a specific address. It could be the Civic Center or First and Main or behind the library, etc. So if you don't have a mailing address, don't trip. When you register, give your physical address where you sleep. If you go to vote and for any reason they cannot find anything saying that you've registered, ask them for a provisional ballot. You will then be able to vote at that time. Your ballot won't be counted until all the other ballots have been certified and counted, and provisional ballots will go through a certification process, and officials will match your signature at the time of registration with your signature at the polls. Just like I said, bingo, your vote will be counted at that point. Now, there is a link to a tool that can check the status of your ballot and whether it was certified or not, but the chances are really good that your vote will count if the steps that I recommended are followed. That link to check the status of your vote and other important links are available once again on our website at www.homelessperspective.com. Just keep that, just find the article where that corresponds with this broadcast. It's a good idea to check ahead of time to find where you can register your vote. There's also a link on our website to find those locations in your county, or you can call the Secretary of State's toll-free voter hotline at 800-345-VOTE. That's 800-345-8683. All right, now this.
Did you forget to register to vote or update your registration before February 19th? There's good news. You still have an opportunity to vote if you take advantage of same-day voter registration. Just go to your county elections office, vote center, or local polling place between now and Election Day. You'll be asked to fill out a voter registration form, and you will be provided a ballot. Once county elections officials have verified your voter registration, your vote will be counted. It's a simple way we're continuing to expand voting rights and opportunities in California. And you don't have to wait until Election Day. Visit caearlyvoting.sos.ca.gov to find early voting locations in your county where you can complete same-day voter registration.
All right, now up next, this is a public service announcement from Homeless Perspective that recommends how to gain a stable income from SSI and SSDI. That's Social Security, Disability, and Supplemental Income. You'll need a stable income when you transition into more permanent housing. So it's good to prepare ahead of time. For some folks, it can be a long process. It's best to start working towards that now while you're waiting for housing to become available. So it's a good day to start with a Medi-Cal. If you don't have any medical coverage, you need to get it. You can begin documenting any disabilities, and you can begin taking better care of your health at the same time. Now, this advice goes out to our homeless friends, neighbors, brothers, and sisters, because we want you to not only survive, but to prosper as well, so you can enjoy a better life in the future when you're in housing. And let's hope that that's soon. Anyways, here's the PSA on that one. Hi folks, it's been brought to my attention that many of my homeless friends and neighbors do not have medical coverage, and that many others that are covered by Medi-Cal are not using the coverage to their advantage. Medical experts are beginning to determine that chronic homelessness is in itself a disabling condition, which means that if you have been homeless for 1 year or more, you may qualify for supplemental income benefits and or disability benefits from Social Security. Now, in order to do this, you must first be enrolled in Medi-Cal. You can go to your local social services office, or you can apply online at www.mybenefitscalwin.org. At the website, you can also apply for CalFresh, formerly known as food stamps, and find other programs that you may be eligible for. Once you have Medi-Cal, you need to establish a primary care physician and go every month, so you can begin documenting any disability that you may have. My suggestion is to choose a healthcare provider that has both an emergency room and a walk-in clinic, so that all of your medical records are all kept under one roof. It may take a while for you to begin receiving your benefits, but keep all of your appointments. You may be entitled to receive back pay from the time that you were first diagnosed. One of my clients recently received a check for $46,000 in back pay. Start today by getting enrolled into Medi-Cal and begin seeing a primary care doctor once a month. Begin documenting any condition or injury that may be permanent or disabling. You will get an opportunity for permanent housing eventually, but I want to see that you survive until that day. And when that day comes, I want to see you prosper. Follow these steps that I have told you today and begin working on a future that is prosperous for you. Survive and prosper, my homeless friends and neighbors. Now we're back to my favorite part of the broadcast. It's the top 100 homeless songs of all time. Megadeth is a heavy metal band from Los Angeles that was formed in 1983 by former Metallica, guitarist Dave Mustaine and bassist David Ellefson. Megadeth is one of the big four bands responsible for the development and popularization of American thrash metal music, along with Metallica, Anthrax, and Slayer. This song, Breadline, was written by Dave Mustaine and David Ellefson and released in 1999 on the band's 8th studio album titled Risk. The song is about homelessness and poverty in America, and the title Breadline is likely in reference to a line at a soup kitchen where someone might likely get a free meal and leave with an additional loaf or two of day-old bread to eat later. Now, the subject of the song the subject in our song is hit the skids after losing his job. As the words go in the song, ain't got no job, ain't got no smoke, ain't got a car, his life's a joke. And while he grows despondent looking for a job, he spends what little money he has left on drugs. And the words are, he used to call the shots, now he can't connect the dots. And as the lyrics go, in the chorus, he's about to lose his lifeline. He's looking for the headlines, sniffing up the white lines. He's dancing on the breadline. Let's listen to Breadline by Megadeth. Check it out.
Ain't got no job, ain't got no smoke, ain't got a car, this life's a joke. Living on the skids, thinks the world's just fine. Forgot what he did, dancing on the bread line. He
That does it for this unscheduled live broadcast that we like to call Homeless Perspective Live, breaking news. And these broadcasts happen anytime the news breaks. I'll be back this evening with the other half of this live broadcast where we'll discuss voting for persons with criminal records. A lot of changes have taken place that now allow some persons to vote in elections that were not eligible to vote in the past. And it's worthwhile to watch a little later this evening. Please remember our Homeless Perspective Live weekly update broadcasts are scheduled for every Saturday night at 8 p.m. If you have any questions, suggestions, requests, news tips, or want to make a presentation or appear on a broadcast, well, then just go to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/homelessbrother. We'll see you on our next broadcast. Thank you for watching. This is Tim Houchen signing off for now. Goodbye.
Listen to me, baby, and hear what I got to say. I said, listen to me, baby, and hear what I got to say. I'm going around the corner and have me a drink of Tanqueray.
It's my perspective, damn it.
Come on, baby, and do like I say. I say, come on, baby, and do like I say. We're going around the corner and have a drink of Tanqueray.